Hi guys, I wanted to talk to you about a book that I've read recently called I Am Pilgrim. It was something that I'm late to the party. You may already have read it, apologies if that's the case, just ignore this video. But Jim Chapman, who's a YouTuber, was talking about it and I thought, yeah, that sounds pretty good actually. So I went and found it and started reading it. And with it being on Kindle, I hadn't realised how big it was. It's like 500 or 600 pages or something. And so it was way more in depth than I was expecting it to be, but it was really, really good. It's by a chap called Terry Hayes. And I'll read the like blurby bit out to you. A breakneck race against time and an implacable enemy. An anonymous young woman murdered in a rundown hotel, all identifying characteristics dissolved by acid. A father publicly beheaded in the blistering heat of a Saudi Arabian public square. A notorious Syrian biotech expert found eyeless in a Damascus junkyard. Smouldering human remains on a remote mountainside in Afghanistan. A flawless plot to commit an appalling crime against humanity. One path links them all and only one man can make the journey. Right? But it sounds really good, but it sounds so sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's all kind of vague, so you don't really know what you're reading. So I picked the book up, I got it from my Kindle, and read like maybe the first chapter or two and was really, really engrossed in it. And it was, the beginning part of the story is about a detective basically, and this seems like a consultant for the detective. And that part of the story really gripped me and I was really hooked with it. And I read through that bit really fast, but then the next part of the book starts and it's about a terrorist. And I was reading that and that it was quite depressing. I mean, okay, the first bit should be depressing because it's about a murder, but the second part was just really like scary. It took me a little while to get into that part of the book. So, I mean, if you're going to read it, be prepared for that. But it is worth it. You get past that, you get really interested. And the whole book in general was really, really interesting. Like I say, it was quite a long book, but it really held my attention the whole way to the end. I think they're actually making it into a film soon. So, I mean, I guess you could just wait for the film if you aren't a reader. But, yeah, it was just a really different kind of book. It's different to what I would normally read. I read a lot of, like, chick lit, that's what I'm looking for. I read a lot of chick lit, all that kind of like, oh, boy meets a girl kind of stuff. And I quite like reading autobiographies. And I've read some Dan Brown books and I would say it's more like his books than it is anything else I normally read, but it was still a lot more, I don't know, I can't really describe it. It was just more everything. It was more intriguing. I feel like it was probably more thought out, maybe. It's perhaps a bit of a harsh thing to say about Dan Brown, but I feel like his books were all a bit mad. Whereas this seemed quite realistic that someone could actually do the things that were being discussed in this book. I don't want to give too many plot points, but I felt like this was far more in a world of realism than the Dan Brown books, which are quite sort of fanatical nonsense, some of it really. But not to say I don't like Dan Brown, but it's just different style. And yeah, you have to sort of suspend disbelief a lot more in those books, I think, than this one. But it was really, really good and I recommend it. And I think that I think he's writing a second book which is due to be released very shortly. So I'm going to read that and I'll let you know what I think of that as well. I read a snippet the other day and really thought that would look quite good as well. So yeah, keep an eye out for that video at some point in the future. Let me know if you've read it at all. I'd like to know what your thoughts were. I think that if I'd seen it in a shop and I'd seen how thick it was, I'd have been a bit overwhelmed by it and I probably wouldn't have picked it up. So in a way, I'm quite glad that I didn't realise. But yeah, it was definitely worth it. And I actually think it needed to be as long as it was. I think if it had been half the book, a lot of the story would have had to be removed and left out and it wouldn't have been as cohesive. So I'm glad that whether they intended it to be that long originally, I'm glad that they let it be that long because I think it needed it. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you've read it or if you're going to wait for the movie. And yeah, that's it for now. Thank you for watching. Take care and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.